Good old reliable Joe. That was the phrase describing Joe back in the original days. He's one of those characters that divides a fan base on whether he's a good character or not. So let's discuss. Is Joe Kido an overrated character? Joe is an interesting character out of the group. Depending on which Digimon fan you talk to, he is an annoying character or a realistic character. And this is the core for the divisiveness of Joe's character. Look at the latest episode of the new Digimon 2020 series. We have Joe, who is actually questioning the prophecy of going to the Cloud Continent to find the Holy Angel Digimon. Tai and Sora, and then eventually Mimi, said yes to this mission without question. Even though they are in a completely different world, they're in a world where there are killer monsters all over the place and have almost a human-sized mutant animal calling them their partners. In Tai's case, you got a baby T-Rex calling him a partner. Considering we all learn about the dinosaurs from the age of 5 and how we are taught that the T-Rex is the most dangerous dinosaur, I would not exactly blame Tai for being shook of a mini T-Rex calling him his best friend. Not only that, a fire-breathing T-Rex no less. I'm just using Tai as an example here. I could easily use the rest of the Digidestined as examples as well, but you guys see where I'm coming from, right? Now obviously the partners damn nearly killed themselves for their Digidestined partners, which is why the trust is built. However, with Joe, I don't blame him for reacting the way he did in the latest episode. If anything, I find Joe's reaction the most natural and normal out of all of them. The others are like teachers' pets, just going along with what they've been told to do. But Joe is like, no, how do we know if we help save this world? How do we know that we can go back to our world? Which is a solid point. Joe is asking the questions that us, the audience, are thinking. It's like one of us have joined the Digidestined team to make sure that there is a bit of realism in the show. The Digidestined right now in the 2020 series, and I know I reference them a lot in my videos, but it can't be avoided. They remind me of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. If you go back and actually watch some of the episodes of the Mighty Morphin series, you will see that the Power Rangers, when they're not fighting Rita's monsters, they are doing environmental protests, community and charity work, helping out the school, or even helping Ernie in his diner. Basically, they are the ultimate good guys. And I know it was a different time back then, but they were too good. No teenager back then was actually like that. And that's the feeling I'm getting from the Digidestined in this series. They are too good already. It's like they're in their mega form in their character progression and don't need any more improvements. So having Joe being the way that he was so refreshing to see, and it adds personality to the group as well. I think there is a massive misconception within the fan base about Joe's character. Joe is shown to be the coward of the group, but really he isn't. If anything, he is just as brave as Tai in some aspects. Look at the episode in the original where Gomamon first digivolves into Ikakuman. By the way, on a side note, I prefer the original episode of Ikakuman's Digivolution rather than the 2020 version. There will be a future video discussing the comparisons of each character-centric episodes of when the partner Digimon first digivolved into their champions level, so stay tuned. But yes, I preferred how they did it in the original. The original had everything that highlighted Joe's good and bad points. Let's get the bad out the way first. He does complain a lot in that episode, and even before that episode, he was in straight up denial. He kept on calling the phone using those dodgy phone booths on the beach despite everyone telling him that they don't work. And him being the oldest in the group, he should realize that if he panics, then the younger ones in the group will get scared as well. And he got scared all the time. But one of his best lines, and I think it's a dub only as well, is the Bakuman episode where Joe and Sora were trapped in an island full of Bakuman. And when they got captured, he actually said, "Help, I'm allergic to pain," which I found so funny. Like, this is what I mean with Joe. He brings a personality to the group. Otherwise, where would the jokes and the fun be without good old Joe? But back to the original episode 7. Joe took responsibility into climbing Infinity Mountain after the massive row that him, Tai and Matt had the night before. So whilst everyone is asleep, he went and climbed it by himself. He didn't even tell Gomamon that he was doing it. That's how determined he was in making sure that everyone else is safe climbing the mountain. Climbing a mountain by yourself at night, that in itself takes bravery. But then climbing a mountain at night in the digital world is a bravery on a different scale. Maybe even crest of courage level of bravery. Am I right, guys? But that's not all. In that very episode when Unimon was attacking him and Gomamon, he jumped off the mountain and into Unimon's back, attempting to physically remove the black gear from Unimon himself. Every gogglehead in the Digimon series would be thinking, this Joe guy is freaking nuts. Another time he showed immense bravery is when he saved TK when TK was drowning because of Mega Seedromon's attack. Against an underwater sea demon, he still had the determination and bravery to save TK, which as a result got Ikakuman to digivolve into Zudomon, So guys, Joe ain't no coward. He might be scared of insects and getting diseases, which you know is perfectly normal, but it doesn't mean that you're a coward. But in the big moments when Joe needs to show bravery and reliability, good old Joe always pulls through. He's also a very compassionate character. He stayed with Mimi, making sure that she's okay when they all returned back to the digital world, and a lot of their Digimon friends died, and Mimi was going through a mini depression phase because she didn't want to fight anymore. He made sure that she was okay and safe. Again, taking responsibility for Mimi in that scenario. In Adventure 02, he was also a capable role model to the 02 cast, along with Izzy of course. I would argue that Izzy and Joe were better role models than Ty and Matt were to the 02 cast. There was that episode where the 02 cast were trapped undersea with Megaseedramon waiting for them. In that episode, Cody felt guilty about lying about Joe's dad being in the hospital to get Joe out of an exam. Cody felt so disgusted in himself for lying that he didn't even want the Digi-Egg of reliability. Joe then steps in, comforting Cody, telling him if it wasn't for that little white lie, then the O2 cast would have ran out of oxygen and probably would have died. No, most likely would have died. Cody is a kid that is hardcore when it comes to the discipline and honor, so the shame he felt about lying is more deeper than any normal kid would feel, especially when we see in a flashback in that episode, Cody's grandpa talking to him about how bad it is to lie. Joe managed to convince this stubborn little kid that it's okay if you lied once, and if that lie was to help someone, there's nothing wrong with that. He stopped Cody from crying and he accepted the Digi-Egg of reliability. I think this moment for me was the only real moment where the original Digidestin actually gave legit advice and managed to guide and pick up one of the O2 kids when they felt down. We didn't see that much in season 2, which is one of the flaws of that season. We didn't have the original Digidestin being mentor figures enough to the O2 cast. We could have seen how much the original crew grew up in comparison to how they were in the first season, and it would have been a major help to the O2 cast if they were endorsed more by the original group in terms of their popularity with the Digimon fanbase. That's why I loved it whenever Joe appeared in season 2. He even compliments the armored Digivolution Digimon, whilst the other originals just look and stare as if they saw a ghost. But my favorite Joe moment has to be in the Bakuman episode that I mentioned earlier in the video. Both Ikakumon and Birdramon are losing their fight against Bakuman. Sora, the mother figure of the Digidestin, is in full panic mode and doesn't know what to do. So who takes charge? Good old reliable Joe. He came up with his good luck chant to depower Bakuman, but I preferred how they did it in the dub, where he talks about old Roman physicists and using the mind over matter technique. The chant he used was, Bakuman lose your power, Bakuman lose your power. He then uses Sora's hat as a drum, as a beat for the chant, which is one of the best moments in Digimon. How can you not love that scene? It's so funny and it's so Joe. Yes, Joe may complain a lot, but I feel his complaints are realistic and normal, so I don't see any problems with it. And people accusing Joe of being a coward, I literally debunked that argument in this video, and for me personally, I feel Joe is not only underrated, but I feel is the most underrated character in the whole Digimon Adventure series, heck, maybe even the whole Digimon series as a whole. I don't think he's overlooked, he's just not rated that much by the fans, which I feel should change. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. Please click that notification bell to stay up to date with our content. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of Joe. What's your favorite Joe moment? Do you think Joe is overrated or underrated? And as always, care for nothing.